Hi, good evening everyone. This is Shefali Singla, and in this session we will cover the concepts of concurrency control. So already from the last 2-3 days we were covering the concepts of the transaction. Under the transaction we have discussed that how the schedules are classified into two categories, that is on the basis of recoverability and serializability. Under recoverability we have covered the concept of irrecoverable schedules, recoverable schedule, cascadeless, and strict recoverable schedules. Whereas under serializability, we have talked about conflict serializable schedules and view serializable schedule. And in yesterday's session, we have looked at if a schedule is not conflict serializable, this does not mean that it is not serializable. We'll check for view serializability. So in simple terms, we can say that the view serializability is the sufficient and the necessary condition to say that the given schedule is serializable. What do I mean by this statement? This simply means that if a schedule is view serializable, that means it is serializable. If a schedule is not view serializable, it is not at all serializable. Not serializable के लिए हमें बहुत ज़्यादा कुछ करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. Simply we'll see in the given schedule, if there is no blind write, that means it is not view serializable. But if blind write is there, then we need to check for the three properties, that is initial read, final update, and WR sequences. Very good evening, Shubham. So this is what we have already covered. And in today's masterclass, yeah, we will be having a masterclass at 8 p.m. So in that, we will be covering the previous year gate questions which were asked on the basis of recoverability. And tomorrow we will be discussing the questions which were asked on the basis of serializability. ठीक है? तो आज वाला पूरा का पूरा फोकस रहेगा PYQs रिकवरेबिलिटी के ऊपर. सो आई वांट यू टू गेट कंफर्टेबल विद दैट टॉपिक. बट एनी हाउ जो टॉपिक हम आज वाले सेशन में कवर करेंगे दैट इज कंकरेंसी कंट्रोल. दिस इसके बेसिस पे जो PYQs हैं ये हम करेंगे सीरियलाइजेबिलिटी के बाद. पहले रिकवरेबिलिटी, देन सीरियलाइजेबिलिटी एंड देन कंकरेंसी कंट्रोल. Let's see how much topic we can cover from today's session because thoda sa lengthy topic hai. Under the concurrency control, we will be looking at two types of protocols. One is the locking protocols and other one is the timestamp ordering protocols. Have you ever heard about these protocols? Guys, फटाफट से पहले तो मुझे confirmation दे दो audio video ठीक है? Because I haven't got any uh, response from your side if it's clear. So we have to cover two types of protocols. Let's see, it all depends on your understanding that how much topic we can cover, but definitely in today's session, at least we'll cover all the locking protocols. Okay, I'll take the examples in order to give every statement because sometimes what happens is you may expect a straightforward question like on the basis of the property that like strict 2PL may not free from deadlock, it may not free from starvation, like that. Okay. All right. So first of all, when we are talking about the concurrency control protocols, basically what concurrency is, this we have already covered. एक बार फटाफट से quick overview देख लेते हैं. Concurrency is जब कोई दो transactions एक साथ execute कर रही है. Obviously, at the same time, two operations cannot be performed, but yeah, this means that before the completion of one transaction, other transaction has already started with its execution. That is known as concurrent execution. The advantage of the concurrent transaction is the resources can be utilized efficiently and less time is required. But sometimes the problem occurs when the execution of one transaction is interfering with the execution of the other transaction. Our database may not be in the consistent state. So that is the drawback with the concurrent execution. That's why we have covered the concept of serializability. But if we think logically that if one person is writing some data or if one person is updating the database, then the other users should not be allowed to read the database at that time, right? अगर updation चल रही है उस time पे अगर आप database को read कर रहे हो, if it's already under the process, you may not get the correct result. But If one person is reading the data and the other user also wants to perform the read operation, so it should be allowed. Let's consider the example of the university. Let's assume कि आपका university का result आया है, okay? या फिर गेट का रिजल्ट आया है, जिस टाइम पे रिजल्ट अपलोड हो रहा है उस टाइम पे अगर आप डेटा को रीड करने की कोशिश करते हो, ऑल्दो यू आर नॉट अलाउड टू डू दैट, बट कई बार टेस्टिंग के लिए बीच में थोड़ी देर के लिए डेटा अवेलेबल होता है, सो इफ यू आर रीडिंग दैट, so maybe the case that you might be getting the incorrect result because that's not stable yet, that's not in the consistent state. But once it's in the consistent state, n number of students are there, lakhs of students are there who are going to write, who are writing the gate paper, so they all are eager to know their results. So they, what they'll be doing is they all will be trying to access, they all want to read the result as soon as it is declared. दिस मीन्स दैट जैसे ही रिजल्ट पब्लिश होता है, सारे स्टूडेंट्स को डेटा को रीड करना है। आप सिर्फ अपना रिजल्ट देख सकते हो, यू आर नॉट सपोज टू मेक एनी चेंजेस, यानी कि आप कोई डेटा अपडेट नहीं कर रहे हो, यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू राइट एनी डेटा इन द डेटाबेस, यू आर जस्ट रीडिंग द डेटा. सो in simple terms we can say that multiple users should be allowed to read the data at the same time, right? That is known as concurrency. When multiple users are trying to access the database, that is concurrency. So concurrency control protocol says that ki many users can access the data at the same time, zyada se zyada user access kar paye, but definitely not at the cost of recoverability and serializability, because the schedule is correct if it is recoverable as well as it is serializable. Make sense? So when we'll be talking about the concurrency control protocols, definitely I'll be referring to the terms like the given schedule is recoverable or not, given schedule is serializable or not, like that. Make sense? Make sense? So for this, we have two protocols. One is the locking protocols. Here, we will use the concept of logs to ensure the serializability and recoverability. अभी हमने discuss किया कि concurrency चाहिए but not at the cost of serializability. Serializability और recoverability lost नहीं होनी चाहिए क्योंकि otherwise database may be in the inconsistent state. So locking protocols may will use the concept of logs like binary log, or under that specifically we have the shared logs and the exclusive logs, like that. Next, second one is the timestamp ordering protocol. So basically this timestamp is nothing but this is the value assigned by DBA to each and every transaction when it is entering into the system. ये एक unique value होती है and it is not randomly assigned. It is always assigned in the increasing order. For example, if transaction T1 is entering into the system, at some time T1 ने अपनी execution start की at let's assume that it arrived at the timestamp. मैं पूरा timestamp नहीं लिख रही हूँ, what hour, what minute, what second. So just assume that this came at the 10th minute. Then other transaction is coming after 5 minutes. Let's assume that its timestamp value is 50. Next transaction that is coming, I cannot consider here the value as 18 because I cannot consider the value here as 12 or 11. It's always in the increasing order. अब सोच के देखो कि टाइम स्टैम्प मीन्स अगर एक प्रोसेस आया उसके बाद नेक्स्ट प्रोसेस इज एंटरिंग इनटू द सिस्टम, तो ऑब्वियसली इट्स टाइम स्टैम्प वैल्यू विल बी ग्रेटर because after a few minutes or after a few hours it's coming up. So it's always in the increasing order. Like here I'm considering this as 25. Now on the basis of these timestamp values are unique, yes. It's in the increasing order, yes. So these are the valid timestamps, and on the basis of these timestamps we can identify that which transaction is younger and which transaction is older. जो transaction पहले आई है, obviously that is older, right? So T1 is the older transaction here and T3 is the youngest transaction. You get this point? So on what basis we are identifying that which transaction is older or which transaction is youngest? It's on the basis of the timestamp value. Lower is the timestamp value. Lower timestamp means it's timestamp. Lower timestamp indicates the older transaction or younger transaction. For example, there are two people and you have to find that which one is younger. तो आप क्या देखते हो? First of all, you'll compare the birth year. जिसका birth year कम है, जिसकी birth year की value कम है, latest ले लो 2023, obviously that will be the youngest one, right? So first of all, we are considering the birth year. जिसके birth year की value कम होगी, obviously that is the older person. Lower timestamp represents the older transaction, and greater timestamp means that is the younger transaction. Greater timestamp means that is the younger transaction. So these concurrency control protocols are categorized into two categories based on locking protocols and timestamp ordering protocols. So first of all, we are going to consider the locking protocols. Basically, lock is nothing but it's a variable that is used to identify the status of the data item. That means whether that data item is available for the use or not. अगर आप कोई भी ऑपरेशन परफॉर्म करवाना चाहते हो, ऑपरेशन कैन बी द रीड ऑपरेशन और द राइट ऑपरेशन. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी नीड टू चेक दैट whether the data item on which we want to perform the read or the write operation is that available. It's just like you are in the office and you want to have a meeting, so you have to book the meeting room. It's your responsibility to book the meeting room. You will be allocated with the meeting room with some specified time. जिस भी time के लिए आपको meeting room चाहिए, तो first of all it checks whether the meeting room is available or not. If it is locked by some other team, so definitely you cannot have the meeting in that meeting room. Similarly here, अगर कोई transaction already किसी particular data item को use कर रही है, then other transaction should not be allowed to use the same data item. That is basically the concept of lock. So lock is a variable used to identify the status of the data item. That is nothing but some resource, whether the data item is available or not. ये किसकी responsibility है? Obviously this is the responsibility of the transaction. So it's the responsibility of the transaction to request for the lock before the usage of data item. Use करने से पहले request भेजनी है, and after the use it's the responsibility of the transaction to release the lock. If it is performing these two steps, requesting for the lock and releasing the lock, then that transaction is known as the legal transaction. Okay, so concurrency control component decides whether to accept the lock or reject the lock. Okay, so basically what happens is, here we have the concurrency control component. Concurrency control component. So first of all, what will happen? It's the responsibility of the transaction. For example, transaction wants to perform some read or the write operation. So here the transaction will be sending a request to the concurrency control component. क्या रिक्वेस्ट भेजेगा कि मुझे इस डेटा आइटम के ऊपर लॉक चाहिए. देन कंकरेंसी कंट्रोल कंपोनेंट विल लुक इनटू द लॉक कंपैटिबल टेबल. What is this lock compatible table is going to store? This will indicate that which lock is compatible with the other lock. Okay, so here we have the lock compatible table. We'll talk about this in more detail in a while. So this is lock compatible table. So it's the responsibility of the concurrency control component to consult the lock compatible table की जो request आई है, whether that is you can say whether that is okay, whether that is eligible or not to get a lock. तो अगर lock compatible है, it will give that response to the concurrency control component, and on the basis of the response obtained from, this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3. अगर lock compatible होगा, then it will grant that lock. Grant हो जाएगा. अगर compatible नहीं है, then the request will be denied. This is step 4. So this is how these locking protocols are going to work. Okay, so it's the responsibility of the concurrency control component whether to decides whether to accept the request for the lock or not. Make sense? This is all theory. I'm going to consider the examples, but if you are comfortable with the basics only, then we can go to the advanced level, right? Guys, is this clear? Quickly give me the confirmation. This is introduction to concurrency control protocols, log-based protocols. So please don't worry about taking down the notes. हो सकता है आप में से कुछ लोग इसलिए भी रिस्पॉन्स नहीं दे रहे हैं, इसलिए भी रिप्लाई नहीं कर रहे हैं कि ये सारी चीजें लिखने में आप बिजी हो. आपको ये सब लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है, बिकॉज ऑलरेडी वी हैव एन ऑफिशियल टेलीग्राम ग्रुप दैट इज शेफाली मैम टेक्स्ट बुक, जिसमें मैं हर यूट्यूब सेशन का लिंक शेयर करती हूँ, हर YouTube सेशन की PDF फाइल शेयर करती हूँ. लाइक this session will end at 5 p.m. So by 5:30 you will be having this PDF ताकि आप immediately revise कर पाओ. You need not to wait. So each and every single point will be there in your PDF. In fact, whatever I'm writing, that will also be there, because when I'll be saving this file, I'll be saving this file with the ink. Ink means जो भी मैं लिख रही हूँ session में, that will also be saved. So you need not to worry about all these things. You just have to focus on understanding the concept and be active listener during the session. Okay. So in this group, I'm sharing the daily PDF of all the YouTube sessions, and you can post your doubts and the queries in this group. You can also participate in the discussions which are initiated by the other learners, and you can directly interact with me. You can participate in the quiz, and the poll link of this Telegram group is given in the description box of this video. So I guess that's the third link. चेक करो मिल जाता है, then join it. अगर नहीं मिलता है, just wait till the end of the session, because that time I'll be sharing my screen and I'll show you that what all links are given in the description box. Okay. Very good afternoon, Kanchan. Okay. So the very first concept from the logs is the binary logs. We know the meaning of binary. Binary means two. That means here we have two modes of the log. Binary means two. So that means log के हमारे पास दो modes होंगे. One is known as the log and other one is the unlock. For log, I'll be using L to represent it, and for unlock, I'll be using U. So there are two different modes available for the binary logs. One is the locking mode and unlocking mode. L is representing the lock and unlocking is represented by U. Now here let us consider one example. हमने क्या बोला है कि जब भी हम concurrency के लिए जा रहे हैं, your schedule should be serializable as well as recoverable. Let us consider some schedule here. Quickly, you have to tell me that whether that is serializable or not. This is the schedule with the transaction. Okay. Two transactions are there, T1 and T2. And here the operations performed by the transaction T1 is, it is performing the read operation on the data item A, write operation on the data item A. This wants to perform the read operation on A. This wants to perform the read operation on the data item B. And then T1 wants to perform the read operation on data item B and write operation on data item B. Okay, this is some schedule with few operations on the data item A and B. So how we can use the concept of binary logs. For example, T1 is going to start with its execution first because it wants to perform a read item on data item A. So what it will be doing is, it will put अभी के लिए A and B दोनों variables available है, किसी के ऊपर कोई lock नहीं है. So here we'll put a lock on the data item A. T1 को lock मिल जाएगा, बिल्कुल मिल जाएगा, because किसी और transaction ने data item A को lock नहीं किया हुआ. Now read operation can be performed because the data item A is locked by the transaction T1. Write operation can also be performed. Now T2 wants to perform a read operation on the data item A, but data item A is already locked by T1. Then what will happen? T1 has to unlock. जैसे ही T1 unlock करेगा, T2 can acquire the lock. Make sense? Then it will perform the read operation. Now it wants to perform the read operation, so it will send a request for lock B. Granted, perform the operation. Now, transaction T1 wants to perform the read and the write operation on the data item B, but data item B is logged by, किसने log किया हुआ है? T2 ने. Now, it will unlock the data item B and then T1 will get a lock on data item B. It will perform both the operations and it will unlock the data item B. Here, this lock can be unlocked before acquiring the lock on the data item B or after the operation. Okay, यहाँ पे unlocking के sequence के ऊपर कोई restriction नहीं है. So this schedule has successfully executed. This schedule has successfully executed by using the concept of binary locks. कोई problem नहीं है. But now here we need to identify whether the schedule was serializable or not. अभी हम recoverability की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं because recoverability is the complete concept is based on the order of commit, right? किस टाइम पे कौन सी ट्रांजेक्शन कमिट हो रही है, पहले डिपेंडेंट ट्रांजेक्शन कमिट हो रही है या फिर मेन ट्रांजेक्शन कमिट हो रही है. सो as of now I am not considering the concept of the commit. Just let me know whether the schedule is serializable or not. नॉट सीरियलाइजेबल के लिए मैंने आपको सिंपल कॉन्सेप्ट बताया हुआ है. इफ देयर इज नो ब्लाइंड राइट दैट मींस इट इज नॉट व्यू सीरियलाइजेबल. तो यहाँ पे हमारे पास दो राइट ऑपरेशंस परफॉर्म हो रहे हैं. व्हाट आई एम सेइंग इज वी हैव schedule S. What operations were there? It was performing the read operation, write operation, and transaction T2 is performing the read operation on the data item A, read operation on the data item B, and this is performing the read operation on data item B and write operation on data item B. ब्लाइंड राइट होता है जब आप किसी भी वैल्यू को बिना रीड किए यू आर डायरेक्टली राइटिंग इट, दैट इज ब्लाइंड राइट. इन दिस केस दिस इज राइटिंग द वैल्यू बट बिफोर दैट इट इज रीडिंग द वैल्यू, so this is not blind write. Transaction T1 is writing the data item B but before that it is performing the read operation, so this is not blind write. In this schedule there is no blind write. इस केस में आपके पास कोई ब्लाइंड राइट ऑपरेशन नहीं है. ओनली टू राइट ऑपरेशंस वर देयर एंड बोथ आर रीडिंग द वैल्यू फर्स्ट. सो वी कैन से दैट द schedule is not conflict serializable. Is not conflict serializable schedule, right? आप इनिशियल रीड, फाइनल अपडेट और WR सीक्वेंस से भी फाइंड कर सकते हो. WR सीक्वेंस क्या रहा है? दिस इज T1 to T2. B is initially read by T2 and then it is written by T1. So it is not view serializable. Not view serializable means it is not serializable. So it is not view serializable. अगर not view serializable है that means it is not serializable. तो यहाँ से कंक्लूजन क्या आया? हमारे पास एक स्केड्यूल गिवन था that was not serializable but it has successfully executed by using the concept of binary locks. That means if we are using the binary locks, we cannot ensure serializability. So note from the first example that we are getting. Note, note means the important points. Okay, on the basis of this, you can expect the true or false statements in the exam. So these results are derived on the basis of the examples. That means this statement is true for all the cases. Okay. So binary locks does not ensure serializability. अगर binary locks की help से execute हो रहा है तो हम ये नहीं बोल सकते कि schedule serializable है या नहीं है. Because here is the example, we were given with some non-serial schedule, serializable schedule, and it has successfully executed using the binary locks. So binary locks does not ensure serializability. It may not eliminate non-serializable schedules. ये non-serializable schedules को eliminate नहीं कर रहा. That is point number 1. Correct? Since some problem is coming up, we want to ensure serializability and recoverability, but it's not ensuring the serializability. So what we need to do? We need to find out the solution to remove this problem, and that is here comes the concept of two-phase locking in the picture. Two-phase locking is simply saying that there are two phases for the locking. ये किस लिए आए? ये कॉन्सेप्ट क्यों आया? क्योंकि यहाँ पे हमारे पास serializability ensure नहीं हो रही थी. So in order to avoid non-serializability or in order to ensure serializability, we are going for the concept of two-phase locking. Two-phase locking says that we can apply the locks in two phases. That means one phase will be the locking phase and other phase will be the unlocking phase. This simply says that any transaction can request for any number of locks. Lock data item A, lock data item B, lock data item C. Like this, a transaction can request for any number of locks. There is no restriction on that. But once it has performed any unlock operation, अगर एक भी unlock operation आ गया, then it cannot request for some other lock. अगर एक बार अनलॉक हो गया देन उसके बाद सिर्फ और सिर्फ अनलॉकिंग होगी, दैट इज इट. इट कैन नॉट रिक्वेस्ट फॉर अ न्यू लॉक इफ इट हैज ऑलरेडी परफॉर्म्ड any unlock operation. So this is here in this phase the number of locks are growing क्योंकि locks बढ़ रहे हैं, and after this point locks कम होने शुरू हो गए, right? So this is second phase. So that is why this is known as two-phase locking. Here we'll be using two terms. One is here the number of locks are growing. So this phase is known as the growing phase. And in the second phase, the number of locks are reducing. It is decreasing. So that's why this is known as the shrinking phase. And the point where we have put the last lock, end of the growing phase and the beginning of the shrinking phase, this is known as lock point. We will be referring to these three terms very frequently, especially the lock points. Have you understood that what is a lock point? Have you understood that what is a lock point? So two-phase locking simply is going to result into the serializable schedule. अगर schedule आपके पास serializable है, then only it will be allowed to execute in the two-phase locking. If it is not serializable, it won't be allowed to execute using the two-phase locking. So that's why the conclusion is two-phase locking always results into the serializable schedule. Don't worry, I'll be taking the example for the same. So transaction T is not allowed to, what is this two-phase locking? Transaction T is not allowed to request any lock if it has already performed some unlock operation. What is this lock point? This is the end of the growing phase and start of the shrinking phase. Binary locks does not ensure serializability. हमने simple concept देखा था binary locks का. We were not introducing the concept of two-phase locking. So binary locks doesn't ensure serializability. It may not eliminate the serializable schedules. So solution is two-phase locking. Two-phase locking always ensures serializable schedule. जो two-phase locking में होंगे, it will always be the serializable schedule, and the equivalent serial schedule is based on equivalent serial schedule किसके basis पे return करेंगे? On the order of the lock points. Yes. What do I mean by this statement? So if we have the transactions T1, T2 and T3, कुछ भी operations है using two-phase locking, you have executed it, and let us assume that T2 का lock point पहले आया है, then comes the lock point of transaction T1, then comes the lock point of transaction T3, right? So here the equivalent serial schedule will be, it's on the basis of the order point. पहले किसका lock point आया है? T2, then T1 and then T3. यहाँ पे मैंने जो stars बनाए हैं, this is representing the lock points. These are the lock points of the transactions. So if the schedule is non-serializable, so it will not be allowed to execute in 2PL. और अगर serializable है, then we can return the equivalent serial order, and that serial order will be based on the order of the lock point. So every non-serializable schedule is failed to execute in 2PL. Make sense? You're ready for the example? So let us consider one example. We have some schedule with the transactions T1 and T2, it is performing the write operation on the data item A, performing the read operation on the data item A, write operation on data item B, and read operation on data item B. Is it view serializable? Is it view serializable? WR sequence says that it's T1 to T2. If we check for a write operation, only transaction T1 is performing the write operation, and initial read, there is no initial read. So here, this given schedule is serializable. Okay, so this schedule is serializable. Since it is view serializable, so I can say that the given schedule is serializable. Now let us see if we can execute this using 2PL. Okay, so on the basis of this, we'll be concluding one more result. If it wants to execute under 2PL, so first of all, what it is doing is it is requesting for a log. It will be granted because no data item, no transaction has logged the data item A, log मिल गया. Then T2 wants to acquire a log on data item A. कब तक नहीं मिलेगा? जब तक transaction T1 is not going to release. So what will happen before releasing the log? It will acquire the log B. पहले log B को क्यों acquire कर रहा है? Because after unlocking the data item, it cannot send a request for another log. तो पहले ही इसने data item B को lock कर लिया, because in future it has to perform a write operation on the data item B. Now it will unlock the data item A. So T2 will put a lock on the data item A. After that, it cannot release the log because it wants the lock on data item B. Now it will, since the lock on data B is granted, so this operation will be performed, and after that it will unlock the data item B, and then lock on B will be granted here. Then it will unlock data item B, and one more lock is pending, unlock data item A. So have you observed here, first of all, locks and locks are coming up and then unlocking. So here is the lock point. This is the lock point for the transaction T1. Here is the lock point for transaction T2. What is the serial order? It is equivalent to T1 to T2. So serializable schedule is allowed to execute in 2PL. Let us consider one more example. Is this clear how I'm using this concept? There is one more schedule, and here we have two transactions T1 and T2. It's performing the write operation, and now it wants to perform a read operation on data item A, read operation on data item B, and write operation on data item B. So first of all, identify that whether the given schedule is serializable. View serializability check कर लो. WR sequence. If we check here for the WR sequence, so here we are getting T1 to T2. If we check for the initial read on the data item B, it is A के ऊपर there is no initial read. For B, T2 is reading the value, and after that T1 is writing the value. This gets updated by T1. So from here we are getting the dependency. Ma'am, repeat again previous example, this one, in which we have used the concept of the lock, two-phase locking. Have you understood? Okay, so two-phase locking apply किया है यहाँ पे मैंने. Two-phase locking simply says that if you have requested for any lock, it cannot be granted अगर already कोई ना कोई data item पे आप unlock operation perform कर चुके हो. Okay, so in two-phase locking we have two phases. One is the growing phase and other one is the shrinking phase. Growing phase means a transaction can request for any number of locks. कितने भी locks के लिए request आ सकती है. It will be granted if it is available. But अगर एक भी unlock operation perform हो गया तो फिर दोबारा कोई lock assign नहीं हो सकता. That is the meaning of two-phase locking. Okay. अब यही चीज हमने एग्जाम्पल के ऊपर अप्लाई की। यहाँ पे मैंने कौन सा स्केड्यूल लिया है? हियर वी हैव okay, let me write here T1 and T2. It wanted to perform a write operation, read operation, then write operation on data item B and read operation on data item B. अब हमने क्या किया? अगर कोई भी ऑपरेशन परफॉर्म करना है, रीड और राइट ऑपरेशन, सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल इट नीड्स टू गेट द लॉग। लॉग अगर डेटा आइटम लॉग्ड होगा तो ही आप कोई ऑपरेशन परफॉर्म कर सकते हो, राइट? This is used in order to check whether that data item is available or not. So data item is available. Now what will happen in this case? Data item एक पे राइट ऑपरेशन परफॉर्म करना है तो इसने रिक्वेस्ट भेजी लॉग के लिए। लॉग हो गया। Now it can perform the operation. Next operation is performed by the transaction T2 on the data item A. But data item A को किसने लॉक किया हुआ है? This is locked by the transaction T1. दोबारा लॉक नहीं हो सकती डेटा आइटम because it's already busy. Data item A is busy. So T2 is waiting for the lock on data item A. अब T2 को लॉक कब मिलेगा? जब T1 रिसोर्स को फ्री करेगा। रिसोर्स को फ्री करने का मतलब है अनलॉक। बट अगर यहाँ पे डायरेक्टली अनलॉक करते हैं, देन इन फ्यूचर इट कैन नॉट परफॉर्म दिस ऑपरेशन बिकॉज इट हैज नॉट एक्वायर्ड द लॉक बी। अंडर 2PL एक बार अनलॉक ऑपरेशन होने के बाद लॉक रिक्वेस्ट नहीं आ सकती। सो बिफोर अनलॉकिंग ए, एडवांस में ही इसने डेटा आइटम बी को बुक कर दिया। सो इट हैज पुट अ लॉक ऑन डेटा आइटम बी। तो अनलॉक करने से पहले इट हैज put a lock on data item B, and जैसे ही data item B को लॉक किया, it has released the data item. जब A फ्री हो गया तो T2 ने लॉक एक्वायर किया. It has performed the read operation. Now B के ऊपर already data item B is already locked by transaction T1, so it will put the lock. So what we are doing is, दो data items है A and B. T1 जैसी आया इसने T1 has put a lock. हम यहाँ पे लॉक्स का ट्रैक रख रहे हैं। डेटा आइटम ए को ए ने लॉक किया। अब T2 को चाहिए ऑन द डेटा आइटम ए, इट वांट्स अ लॉक बट इट कैन नॉट गेट इट क्योंकि ए इज असाइंड टू T1। तो ये वेट कर रहे हैं कि T1 इसको रिलीज करे, बट ये रिलीज कब करेगा? व्हेन इट हैज गॉट अ लॉक ऑन डेटा आइटम बी। नाउ at this moment T1 can perform any operation on the data item A or B. After unlocking, this has released a lock. अब ये lock किसको मिल गया? T2 को. Now T2 is performing the read operation on the data item A. Next operation is write operation on data item B. By transaction T1, it has executed, then it released the lock. T2 gets the lock and it has performed the read operation. You get it? तो जैसे मर्जी सॉल्व कर लो, इट्स जस्ट द गेम, इट्स जस्ट द मैटर ऑफ लॉकिंग एंड अनलॉकिंग। सिर्फ एक ही डिफरेंस आया है यहाँ पे कि एक बार अगर अनलॉक हो गया तो दोबारा और कोई भी डेटा आइटम के लिए रिक्वेस्ट नहीं जा सकती। मेक सेंस? नाउ इज इट क्लियर? तो यहाँ पे मैंने क्या किया था? आई टुक द फर्स्ट शेड्यूल दैट वाज सीरियलाइजेबल. Now I'm taking the another example where we are having non-serializable schedule. This is non-serializable schedule. Serializable schedule has successfully executed in 2PL. 2PL में successfully execute हो गया. Now check for, in the second example, I have taken a non-serializable schedule. Okay. So is it allowed to, just check, is it allowed to execute in 2PL? Is it allowed to execute in 2PL? What you have to do is you have to simply put the locks, lock the data item A. Now it wants a lock on data item A. ये कब तक lock नहीं मिल सकता है जब तक ये unlock नहीं होता. Okay, and this cannot unlock the data item A because it wants to get a lock on data item B. But will it get the lock on data item B? अगर आपने lock कर भी दिया and here you are releasing this, then it will get a lock. But now it won't get the lock on data item B because it is already locked. और T1 ने already lock किया हुआ है, but it will not release the lock until it has performed the operation. T1 का ऑपरेशन बाद में परफॉर्म होना है डेटा आइटम बी के ऊपर, जबकि लॉक पहले ले एक्वायर कर लिए. ओके, अगर आप ये लॉक बिना ग्रांट किए अनलॉक करवाते हो, दिस विल पुट अ लॉक ऑन डेटा आइटम बी, अनलॉक ए, अनलॉक बी. अब यहाँ पे अटक जाएगा बिकॉज नाउ इट वांट्स टू गेट अ लॉक ऑन डेटा आइटम बी. अब ये लॉक नहीं मिल सकता बिकॉज ऑलरेडी इट हैज performed an unlock operation, right? So in simple terms, the schedule is not in 2PL. So here comes one result. अगर आपके पास schedule 2PL में execute हो रहा है, surely it is serializable. But अगर 2PL में अगर schedule serializable है, it will always executed in 2PL. That is not true. So every serializability does not ensure that it is in 2PL. 2PL है तो serializable है, but serializable है और 2PL में होगा, that is not true for every case. Make sense? So the first problem with the 2PL is 2PL with binary locks. यहाँ पे हमने अभी तक lock और unlock mode use कर रहे हैं. That means binary locks with 2PL. So limitation with binary locks with 2PL is it is not free from deadlock. Not free from deadlock means, let us consider the example T1 and T2. And T1 wants to perform a read operation on the data item A, and T2 wants to perform the read operation on data item B. And this wants to perform the read operation on data item B, and this wants to perform the read operation on data item A. Now what will happen? T1 will acquire, it will start with its execution. T1 acquires a lock on data item A, मिल गया lock, operation execute हो गया. Next, T2 wants to acquire a lock on data item B. It gets a lock on data item B and it will execute its first operation. Now, T1 wants to perform, it wants to put a lock on data item B. But data item B is acquired by, at present what is happening, T1 is having a lock on data item A और T2 ने B को lock किया हुआ है. T2 is acquiring a lock on data item B. Now T1 wants to get a lock on data item B, but data item B is already locked by transaction T2. And T2 doesn't want to unlock it because it wants one more lock. T2 को एक और lock चाहिए. 2PL में दोनों locks पहले grant होंगे फिर unlock होगा. But here T2 is not ready to unlock the data item B. कब तक unlock नहीं करेगा जब तक A पे लॉक नहीं मिल जाता. एंड T1 is not ready to unlock the data item A जब तक इसे B नहीं मिल जाता. That means transaction T1 is waiting on transaction. It wants to acquire a lock on data item B जो T2 के पास है और T2 वेट कर रहा है कि मुझे A के ऊपर पहले लॉक मिले. So basically what is happening is T1 is waiting on T2 and T2 is waiting on T1. And what is the scenario known as? T1 is waiting on T2 to release the lock and T2 is waiting on T1 to release the lock. तो दोनों में क्या हो रहा है? पहले आप and basically progress is not taking place. So this situation is known as deadlock. Yes, both are dependent on one another and this situation is known as deadlock. Basically what is happening? Why is this happening? Because of this 2PL. Right? दोनों क्यों अटके हुए हैं? बिकॉज ऑफ 2PL. किसी भी टाइम पे अनलॉक नहीं कर सकते. सारे के सारे ग्रोइंग फेज आने के बाद only then it can go for the shrinking phase. So 2PL, first limitation with the 2PL, here we are just using the concept of binary locks. 2PL may not free from deadlock. Same example I'll be using for the limitation 2. If you observe here, यहाँ पे जो हमने example ली है, in this case we are just interested in performing the read operations. जबकि हमें ये मालूम है 2 users can read the database at the same time. यानी कि अगर यूजर सिर्फ रीड ऑपरेशन परफॉर्म करवाना चाहता है डेटा आइटम पे, then it should be allowed. Make sense? But here T1 has logged the data item A for reading purpose only. T2 को भी सिर्फ reading purpose के लिए चाहिए data item A, but still both are not getting the log at the same time. Why is this limitation coming up? Because here log means data item is logged no matter whether that is logged for performing the read operation or write operation. यहाँ पे हमने क्या बोला है? कोई भी ऑपरेशन परफॉर्म करना है, रीड या राइट, हमारे पास एक ही तरीके का लॉग है, दैट इज सिंपली द लॉग. Right? We cannot distinguish between whether the data item is logged for the read purpose or write purpose. That is why it is resulting into less concurrency. Less concurrency means no two users are allowed to read the database at the same time. This limitation is basically coming because of the binary logs. ये किसकी वजह से आ रहे हैं? बाइनरी लॉक्स. जो हम लिमिटेशंस डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट 2PL विद बाइनरी लॉक्स. Yes, and 2PL की वजह से लिमिटेशन क्या आ रही है? डेडलॉक. सो सॉल्यूशन इज, सेकंड प्रॉब्लम का सॉल्यूशन क्या है कि हमारे पास कुछ ऐसा कॉन्सेप्ट हो सो दैट वी कैन डिस्टिंग्विश whether the data item is logged for reading purpose or writing purpose. अगर रीडिंग पर्पस है तो दो से ज्यादा यूजर सेम टाइम पे अलाउड होने चाहिए. अगर राइटिंग पर्पस है then it shouldn't be allowed. So this results into the concept of shared and exclusive locking techniques. Shared lock means that particular data item can be locked by multiple transactions. That means that lock can be shared by the different transactions as well. So shared lock कब allowed होगा? When we want to perform the read operation, तभी sharing mode में दो transactions execute हो सकती है. So shared, if I'm saying that I have put a shared lock on the data item A. Now instead of using lock and unlock, लॉक के हमारे पास दो मोड्स आ गए, शेयर्ड एंड एक्सक्लूसिव मोड. शेयर्ड मोड मींस two transactions, two or more than two transactions can put a lock on the same data item. और ये कब होगा? When we want to perform a read operation only. So if a data item is logged under the shared mode, it can perform only the read operation, but it cannot perform the write operation. Whereas if we want to perform a write operation on any data item, then we'll use the concept of exclusive lock. Exclusive नाम से समझ में आ रहा है? Exclusively only that particular transaction can put a lock, right? So under the exclusive lock, both read and write operations are allowed, whereas under the shared mode, only the read operation is allowed. Okay? So shared lock, if transaction T lock the data item A in the shared mode, then T can be allowed to perform only the read operation on the data item A. Whereas if we have put a lock on, we have used the exclusive lock, then it is allowed to perform read or write operation on the data item A. If you have put a lock on data item A, so definitely it's allowed to perform only the read or the write, only read or write operations. Okay, is the difference clear between the shared and the exclusive lock? कितना weightage होता है? Kanchan, we cannot fix this weightage because every year this is going to vary, but definitely you can expect at least 6 to 7 questions from DBMS. Okay, ये clear हो गया? I thought of covering timestamp based protocols as well, along with the locking protocols. But now I'm not sure whether we'll be able to finish these locking protocols in today's session or not. Anyhow, अगर नहीं होगा ये concept खत्म, then we'll continue with this concept. Tomorrow, I guess I have planned for some other topic. Let's see what we can do. Okay. All right. So here comes the results. Only shared or exclusive log without any constraint. यानी कि हम लॉक की जगह पे शेयर्ड और एक्सक्लूसिव लॉक यूज कर रहे हैं, बट नॉट यूजिंग द 2PL may not ensure serializability, because we have said that in order to ensure serializability, 2PL is mandatory. Two-phase locking is mandatory. Make sense? So to ensure serializability, 2PL is mandatory. To ensure the serializability, in simple terms, instead of using the binary logs, now we are replacing, इससे पहले हमने क्या डिस्कस किया था, 2PL with binary logs. Now in order to increase the concurrency, instead of using the binary logs, we are replacing it with shared or exclusive log. And its equivalent serial schedule obviously 2PL है, तो it ensures serializability. Serializability ensure हो रहा है तो कुछ ना कुछ serial order आएगा. So its equivalent serial schedule is based on the order of log points, just like we have discussed this under 2PL and binary logs. Binary, simply here what we have done is binary log is simply replaced with the shared or exclusive log. For what purpose? In order to increase the concurrency. That was the second limitation of binary logs with the 2PL. Make sense? Itna clear hua? So here, let's talk about the log compatible table before going to next concept. Let's talk about the log compatible table. Log compatible table. So one transaction has already acquired some log and other transaction is requesting for the log. So we need to check which log will be assigned and which will not be assigned. One transaction has already put a shared log and other transaction is requesting for the shared log. One transaction has put a shared log, other is requesting for the exclusive log. Exclusive log. These are the possibilities. Now tell me that whether the shared log is compatible with the shared log. इसको ऐसे सोच के देखो, shared log means सिर्फ read operation perform करना है. If one transaction is performing a read operation on some data item, क्या दूसरी transaction same data item को read कर सकती है? Two transactions wants to perform the read operation at the same time. Should it be allowed? Come on, guys. Should it be allowed? Yes. So this means that shared log is compatible with the shared log. Very good. Now, shared one transaction is performing the read operation. Already एक transaction read operation perform कर रही है. Other transaction wants to update the database. Should it be allowed? एक user database को read कर रहे हो and other transaction wants to write the database. Should it be allowed? One wants to perform the read operation and other wants to perform the write operation. Is it compatible? No. This means that shared log is not compatible with the exclusive log. Exclusive log is not compatible with the shared log. Not compatible. Next scenario is exclusive log, exclusive log. That means two transactions wants to update the database at the same time. Should it be allowed? In other terms, I'm asking that whether the exclusive log should be compatible with the exclusive log. Two transactions wants to update the database at the same time. Should it be allowed? No, it shouldn't be allowed. just consider you are updating some value and other transaction is also updating the value. तो जो first transaction ने update किया था, that change will be lost. This has written the value of the data item A. This is writing the value of the data item A. तो जो value इसने write की है, will it exist? Let us consider the example of a library. Okay, let's understand this with the help of example. Let me write here. Let's assume कि आप DBMS की book issue करवाने के लिए library में गए and that is by Raghurama Krishnan. Okay, कुछ भी book ले लो by Raghurama Krishnan. And number of copies available are, there is only one copy in the database. Now there are two students, student A and student B. Student A ने क्या किया? Librarian से पूछा whether this whether this book is available. He said yes, so it has checked for the value. So जैसे इसने value को read किया, this is A. Okay, let me take this as X. DBMS के लिए हम D use कर लेते हैं. Data item is D. So इसको result में क्या मिला? This is getting 1. Okay. In the meantime, it started looking for some other book. It has not updated the value yet. Now some other transaction is coming up and it asks that whether the copy of book is available. इसने बोला yes, क्योंकि अभी तक issue तो हुई नहीं है, database में change नहीं हुआ है. It has just performed the read operation, so it will also get the value as 1. Now B got that book, तो D की value update हो गई, so D is updated to 0. Okay, A की copy थी जो student B को assign हो गई. So basically after performing, what it has done is it has written the value of the data item D. Now after some time this is coming up and it has also performed the operation. D की value क्या होगी? D is evaluated to 0, but now it is going to write the value. You getting this point? अब इसके पास भी value 1 है, 1 minus 1 is 0, so it is also going to write the value as 0. Should it be allowed? Only one copy was there and they both got the copy. Is it allowed? तो ये कब हुआ? ये किस वजह से हुआ? Because basically अगर मैं short form में लिखूं, A and B were there, this performed a read operation on data item D, B performed the read operation on data item D and performed the write operation on data item D, and this is performing the write operation on data item D. अब इसमें चेक करो, if you use the concept of the locks, shared lock का अगर concept use करते हो, shared or exclusive lock with 2PL, so it has requested for, it wants to perform the read operation and write operation, तो shared lock grant नहीं होगा, so it is requesting for the exclusive lock. Now B wants to get the exclusive lock here because it also wants to perform the write operation. अगर इसको आपने grant करवा दिया, if you are saying that exclusive lock is compatible with the exclusive lock, तो ये execute हो जाएगा and this shouldn't be allowed to execute. Are you getting this point? If you are saying that two transactions can acquire the exclusive lock at the same time, compatible का मतलब के दो transactions को same time पे आप exclusive lock दे सकते हो, तो ये तो transaction execute हो जाएगी. But actually it shouldn't be allowed to execute, right? You get this point? So it has already reserved that book, already book को निकाल के counter पे रख दिया कि मुझे ये book issue करवानी है. So other students should not be allowed to update that data item, right? It has already booked that. It cannot be shared by some other transaction. Make sense? So exclusive lock अगर एक transaction पे, other transaction should not be allowed to perform the read or the write operation. So this should not be allowed. So we can say that exclusive lock is not compatible with the, where is our table? Exclusive lock should not be compatible with the exclusive lock. सिर्फ दो transactions या दो से ज्यादा transactions same time पे read operation perform कर सकते हैं, that's it. Make sense? So this is about the log compatible table. I hope that you guys are comfortable with this. Any query till this point? No, right? Okay. So limitations with the 2PL, that is with the binary logs, 2PL की help से हमारे पास serializability तो ensure हो गई. Okay. 2PL ensures serializability. अब यहाँ पे आप this is already we have discussed the limitations with the binary logs with shared or exclusive log. Update this. Shared or exclusive logs. We were focusing on serializability and recoverability. Let's consider the example for the recoverability. Here we have two transactions T1 and T2. T1 is writing some data item, updating some data item, and T2 is reading the value. Schedule irrecoverable कब होते हैं? T2 is dependent on T1, and let us say that T2 is getting committed first. This gets committed, और उसके बाद this transaction may commit or roll back. ये transaction roll back भी कर सकती है. Now, is the schedule recoverable? Is this recoverable? No, because here the dependent transaction gets committed first. अगर ये transaction roll back हो गई तो क्या हम T2 को roll back कर सकते? नहीं कर सकते. So the given schedule is irrecoverable. And let us see if it is allowed to execute in 2PL. So it wants to perform a write operation. So this will put the exclusive lock on the data item A. T2 wants to perform a read operation. Exclusive lock के साथ कोई भी lock compatible नहीं है, and T1 does not want to perform any operation, so it will unlock the data item A. उसके बाद T2 can acquire a lock on data item A. After that, it will unlock. So this transaction, the schedule has successfully executed with 2PL under shared or exclusive locks, right? तो serializable है, but this is not irrecoverable. So we can say that 2PL may not free from irrecoverability. It is free from, it ensures serializability, but it does not ensure irrecoverability, because when we are considering the concept of 2PL, we are not at all considering the order of commits. We are not considering the commit order. So 2PL may not free from irrecoverability. 2PL is not free from deadlock. How it's not free from deadlock? Let's consider the example for this one. Let us assume that transaction T1 wants to perform a read operation on data item A. Transaction T2 wants to perform the write operation on data item A. And this, okay, we can consider the same example. This is, now it's 2PL. So accordingly, we have to design the examples. So it is performing the write operation on data item B. This wants to perform the read operation on data item B, and this wants to perform the write read operation on data item B. Okay, shared lock आ गया. And this wants to perform a write operation on data item A. All right, this will work fine. इससे related questions कैसे आते हैं? You might be given with the schedule, and they'll say that the given schedule is in 2PL but not strict 2PL. So we have to cover those cases. Okay, given schedule is serializable. एक तो मैंने आपको बताया, ये जो हम properties discuss कर रहे हैं, why I'm talking about these properties in details, because ये true false में आ सकती है. Second type of, this is one type of question. Second type of question is you might be given with some schedule. जैसे हमारे पास recoverability और serializability से आया था, वैसे ही इसमें cases आएंगे. We have the concept of conservative 2PL, strict 2PL, like that. क्लियर? तो पहले हम प्रॉपर्टीज कर रहे हैं, उसके बाद हम कैटेगरीज करेंगे, बिकॉज व्हाट वी आर डूइंग इज वी आर लुकिंग एट द लिमिटेशंस, वी आर फाइंडिंग द सॉल्यूशन फॉर द सेम, देन नेक्स्ट एल्गोरिथम में वी आर लुकिंग फॉर द लिमिटेशंस एंड फाइंडिंग द सॉल्यूशन. दिस इज व्हाट वी आर डूइंग. Just hold on, let me finish the concept. I'll be covering all the types of questions. Okay, so 2PL is not free from deadlock. Here is the example. Here we are using the concept of shared or the exclusive lock. This has put a shared lock. This has put a exclusive lock on data item B. Now T1 has logged a data item A under the shared mode, and T2 has logged the data item B under the exclusive mode. Now T1 wants a shared lock on data item B. Will it be granted? शेयर लॉक चाहिए डेटा आइटम बी के ऊपर, क्या ये मिल सकता है? नहीं मिल सकता, बिकॉज शेयर लॉक इज नॉट कंपेटिबल विद एक्सक्लूसिव लॉक. This means that T1 is waiting on transaction T2 to release the lock. And T2 कब release करेगा? When it gets a lock, exclusive lock on data item A, क्योंकि 2PL है तो दोनों लॉक्स पहले चाहिए, बट इट कैन नॉट गेट द एक्सक्लूसिव लॉक बिकॉज डेटा आइटम ए इज ऑलरेडी लॉक्ड अंडर द शेयर्ड मोड. तो शेयर्ड और एक्सक्लूसिव लॉक्स आर नॉट कंपेटिबल. T2 is waiting for T1 to release the lock, so we can say that it is not free from 2PL. चाहे आपने शेयर्ड और एक्सक्लूसिव लॉक का कॉन्सेप्ट यूज कर लिया, बट स्टिल इट इज नॉट फ्री फ्रॉम डेडलॉक. Next one, shared or exclusive lock plus 2PL may not free from starvation. How it's not free from starvation? T1 has put a shared lock on the data item A. कुछ read operation perform करवाना था. Then T2 is requesting for the exclusive lock. It wants to perform a write operation. So this exclusive lock will be denied. But in the meantime, transaction T3 is coming up and that is also requesting for the shared lock. तो शेयर लॉक और शेयर लॉक कंपेटिबल है, सो दिस विल बी असाइंड. आफ्टर सम टाइम T1 हैज फिनिश्ड इट्स एग्जीक्यूशन. अब T2 बोल रहा है कि भाई T1 को बोला था कि आई वांट द लॉक, बट वो T1 के पास था. अब T1 की एग्जीक्यूशन कंप्लीट होगी, T2 वांट्स टू एक्वायर द लॉक. अगेन इट वॉन्ट गेट द लॉक. क्यों नहीं मिलेगा? बिकॉज नाउ द शेयर लॉक इज applied by the transaction T3. So any number of transactions, those who want to acquire a shared lock, they will be granted with the lock. But जो exclusive request वाली transaction है, it will keep on waiting. So there is no restriction कि कितने time के लिए wait करना है. जब तक data item free नहीं होगा, तब तक it will be in the waiting state. So we can say that 2PL may not free from starvation. So these are the limitations with the 2PL and the shared and the exclusive lock. Shared and exclusive locks are replacing the binary locks only just to increase the concurrency. Okay. Any doubt till this point? I know that it's too much of theory. तो इररिकवरेबिलिटी को अवॉइड करने का तरीका क्या है? इररिकवरेबल क्यों आ रहा है? बिकॉज वी आर रीडिंग द वैल्यू विच इज नॉट कमिटेड. So here the solution is hold the lock until it gets committed. That is, if we have T1 and T2, there is a read, it has performed a write operation and it wants to perform a read operation. And this is committing first. This is irrecoverable schedule. तो यहाँ पे irrecoverability को कैसे avoid करेंगे? This is having the exclusive lock. So this lock will be on hold until it gets committed. जब तक commit नहीं हो जाता तब तक इसे hold करके रखो, और जब तक data item A unlock नहीं होगा, second transaction cannot start with the execution. So this is the concept of avoiding the irrecoverability, that is by holding the lock until the commit. So under this we have various cases like strict 2PL. Strict 2PL simply says that basic 2PL, it's the 2PL plus all exclusive locks should be on hold until commit और rollback. सिर्फ और सिर्फ restriction किसके ऊपर है? Exclusive lock के ऊपर. That means T1 and T2 write operation, read operation. So this lock, exclusive lock, cannot be released until it gets committed. जैसे ही ये commit होगा उसके बाद it will be unlocked. Then any other transaction can use. So the lock will not be unlocked until it gets committed or rolled back, but there is no restriction on the shared lock. It's only on the exclusive lock. So strict 2PL may not free from deadlock and starvation. तो जो हमने इससे पहले एग्जांपल लिए, यू कैन कंसिडर द सेम एग्जांपल. सो स्ट्रिक्ट 2PL is not free from deadlock and starvation. So in order to avoid this problem, we have the regress 2PL. Regress 2PL says that it's the basic 2PL. Strict main restriction is only on the exclusive lock. Now regress 2PL says that all the shared and the exclusive locks should be hold until commit or rollback. Shared lock है या exclusive lock है, it will not be released until and unless it gets committed or rolled back. This is the meaning of regress 2PL. Okay, and the another difference in regress and the strict 2PL is, obviously 2PL है तो serializability तो आएगी. So the most important point here is in strict 2PL, equivalent serial schedule is in strict 2PL, the equivalent serial schedule is based on the order of lock points, whereas in case of regress 2PL, 2PL है तो serializable है, so we can find out the serial order. So in regress 2PL, the serial schedule is based on the order of commit. This is the most important difference. एक डिफरेंस तो ये है कि स्ट्रिक्ट 2PL में सिर्फ एक्सक्लूसिव लॉक को होल्ड करके रखना है, whereas in regress 2PL, shared and exclusive, both the locks will be hold until commit or rollback. Another difference is in strict 2PL, we return the equivalent serial schedule on the basis of the lock points, whereas in regress 2PL, we return the equivalent serial schedule on the basis of the order of commit. Make sense? Is it clear? Next one is conservative 2PL. Basically, conservative 2PL is meant to avoid the deadlock. So conservative 2PL says that कोई भी transaction अपनी execution तब start करेगी when it has acquired all the resources required during the transaction. एक transaction को execute करने के लिए throughout जितने भी locks चाहिए, सारे के सारे locks को पहले acquire करेगा and then it will start with its execution. Okay, so if it's not getting all the locks, तो जो lock hold किए हुए हैं, it will release those locks so that the other at least other transaction can complete its execution. This is the idea behind this, कि अगर हमारा काम नहीं हो पा रहा तो किसी और का भला तो हो. So that is what is conservative 2PL. So basic 2PL तो है ये, this is to ensure serializability and all the locks required to execute the transaction should be hold before starting the execution of the transaction. So this is conservative 2PL. Now one question was asked. Next one is timestamp based protocols. We are running out of time. So in some other session, I'll discuss the concepts from timestamp based protocols. Basically question कैसे आता है here? You might be given with, okay, you might be given with some schedule and they say that this is allowed in strict 2PL but not regress 2PL, or basic 2PL may execute hoga but not strict 2PL. This is in strict 2PL but not regress 2PL, regress 2PL. Like this, there can be the four options. Second type, true or false. Okay. Majority questions log based protocol से आते हैं, but we cannot ignore the timestamp based protocols also, because many a times the questions have been asked on the basis of the algorithms like wound weight, weight die. these algorithms are asked. And apart from that, you may get a question on the basis of Thomas Wright rule or basic timestamp ordering protocol. So we will be covering the timestamp ordering protocols in some other session. I guess for tomorrow indexing is already scheduled. तो कल हम लोग indexing discuss करेंगे session में. I'll plan some day to cover the timestamp ordering protocols. Okay. Guys, I'll share this PDF in another half an hour in this Telegram group, that is Shefali Ma'am Testbook. So this group is beneficial if you want to get the links of all the YouTube sessions along with the PDF, and you want to ask your queries, you want to directly interact with me, and in order to participate in the quiz and the poll. You can join this session through the link. Let me share my screen with you guys. So here, this is the video that is currently going on. Go to the description. Description mein first link is for the master classes of NIC NILIT, and second one is for NIC Super Coaching. If you want to cover your 100% syllabus along with the programming concepts, everything, then go for the Super Coaching batch. And third link is for the Super Coaching Gate Super Coaching Telegram. So this is the link for the Telegram group, and fourth link is for the Super Coaching Gate. If you want to cover 100% syllabus with the complete notes, complete series, everything, then I'll suggest you to go for the Super Coaching, and to get the maximum benefits, you can use the code Shefali S. Let me quickly take you to the website. Okay, so this is for the gate. Benefit is you can learn the concept, same concept from multiple educators. So here we have full series courses, full series and subject courses are available. So under the full four complete series are there. This is by Gate Forum, by Digimento, by Nimbus Learning, and by Testbook and its team, by me and the team. So you can see the rating of each and every course is more than it's at least 4.8 out of 5, which is actually very, very good. So the idea behind this is sometimes you need more number of examples, you want different way of explaining. Every faculty has their own way of teaching. So if you are not confident with some concept, so you can understand the concept from multiple educators. Okay, so all these sessions are available in the recorded format. Apart from that, we do have the live series, and under this there will be the quick revision sessions and the doubt and PYQ session. ये आप directly live sessions में interact कर सकते हो, and before joining you can go through the demo classes, you can have a look over the profile of the super teachers. And apart from this, in the super coaching, the textbook pass is already included. That means you need not to pay anything extra for the mock test series, and everything is there. As already discussed, complete study notes will be provided to you in the PDF format. So 80 plus the GATE CSE study notes are there, which are categorized under engineering mathematics, general aptitude, formula notes, and this computer science engineering. Computer science engineering means technical subjects, programming and data structure, operating system, theory of computation, computer networks. अभी आपको ये लॉक दिख रहा है because the subscription is not activated yet. So if you want get all these notes, ये सारे के सारे notes detailed notes हैं. For that you can click on buy now, and you have to pay some fee for the same. And formula notes are basically the shorthand notes, micro notes जो आपको exam से पहले quick revision के लिए चाहिए होते हैं. Why we are like focusing on this gate preparation? पहली चीज जो gate का syllabus है, this is what we cover in the second year and third year of BTech. थर्ड फोर्थ फिफ्थ सिक्स सेमेस्टर में जो कोर टेक्निकल सब्जेक्ट्स आप अपने ब्रांच से रिलेटेड पढ़ते हो, दैट इज अ पार्ट ऑफ द गेट सिलेबस. सो दिस विल हेल्प यू टू स्कोर वेल इन योर सेमेस्टर एग्जाम्स एज वेल, और जिसका सीधा सीधा इम्पैक्ट आपकी प्लेसमेंट्स पे आता है. योर you can say concepts of technical subjects will get cleared, जिससे आपको MNC में तो benefit मिलता ही है, plus you will get the benefit in the competitive exams. Like if you are preparing for NIC GATE तो है ही है, GATE के अलावा NIC, ISRO, DRDU, UGC NET, तो straight forward GATE के questions आते हैं. So that's why we have three plans. One is 1 year plan, 2 year plan, and 3 year plan. 1 year plan is for the students who are currently in the fourth year of BTech or the pass outs. 2 year plan is for the students, those who are in third year. And second year students can also take this because 3 year तो बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाता है. 2 year is more than sufficient for preparing the gate exam. Even if you are in second year, I'll recommend you to go for 2 year plan. Although not much difference is there, 21,000 something can, this is for 26,999, that is 27. So not making any, not much difference is there, but yeah, 2 year will be sufficient. And in order to get the maximum benefit of this, you can use the apply code, that is Shefali S. Just click on the apply and you will get the maximum benefit. Okay. So guys, this is all from my side. If you have any doubt or query, you can write that in the chat section. Otherwise, we'll end our discussion here. So as already discussed with you, tomorrow we are going to cover the concept of indexing. Today we will be having one more session. As already discussed with you guys, Monday to Friday we are having two sessions, one at 4 p.m., 4 to 5 p.m. This is on YouTube, in which we are covering the concepts, and the other session is at 8 p.m. This is just half an hour session in which we are covering the PYQs of GATE, which is very very beneficial for the students, those who are targeting. अभी जो सबसे पहले आई गेस एग्जाम आ रहा है, दैट विल बी फॉर NIC. तो NIC में बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड गेट क्वेश्चंस पूछे हुए हैं, सो डोंट मिस द मास्टर क्लासेस. अगर आप किसी भी एग्जाम के लिए प्रिपेयर कर रहे हो जिसमें DBMS आता है, so don't miss the master class, because in this we will be covering the PYQs. And these PYQs, previous year questions of the GATE, will be behaving as like the important set of questions for your exam. So this is masterclass, textbook masterclass. Obviously, this is free. सिर्फ और सिर्फ सुपर कोचिंग की क्लासेस पेड है. Rest everything is free for everyone. Okay. Anyone having any doubt or query? This is all from my side. I'll see you at 8 p.m. I guess no query is there. So this is all from my side, guys. Uh, we'll meet at the next session. Till then, take care. Bye bye.